Welcome to a conversation with Bishop Dr. Barbara King, founder and spiritual leader of Hillside International Truth Center. She spoke with contributing producer Audrey Galix, who begins the conversation on the light side about her signature look, her glasses, her ethnic clothing.
I got all kinds. I have red rims, I got shiny rims, I got black and white, I got everything. I got some yellow ones, I just didn't put them on.
Hillside is one of many so-called New Thought churches around the world, has a commitment to the teacher.
I watch some women on TV. They should stop trying to be like a man. The collars and the suits. I mean, be beautiful. That's what I like. And my pantsuits, you have a coat on, I wear the pants and the coats, and I wear sequins, I wear beads. You know, be, and people love it.
Dr. King also spoke about a man who inspires her and a city she adores.
Whenever I go downtown, I live on this side of the street. We take 285 going east on I-20, and then we circle that leads you into 7585. I found out his name was Freeway Johnny. There's a man who stood midway that circle as you straighten out every morning, tipped his hat, came down, and he just got to know, he knew who I was. And he would come to we'd do our little bump. Beautiful man, clean as a whistle, and he was asking for help. Everybody went along, gave that man money because his energy, his compassion for people is so strong. My grandson made a remark. He said, "Mom, he's probably got a home in Buckhead," and we laughed. But the truth is, he got hit by a car. I was in a state of shock. I happened to be looking at the news, and they found the guy, a drunken driver who hit him. There's still a shrine to him. I put the first flowers down. When I got the word that morning, I was going to Emory to the dentist, and so I stopped at Public and I got a bouquet of flowers. So the first bouquet of flowers went down. I came back by and the shrine is still there. The flowers are dying, but it's in honor of him. This man could have changed anybody's heart. I came by during the Christmas and some people got out of the car and took 3 large Christmas gifts back to him. His smile, I mean, his love of people. I've handed him $5, $10, $1, and no dollars. But he would always come, "Good morning," and people just look forward to seeing him. And so I said, I didn't know he was Freeway Johnny. Somebody finally told me. But I called Watkins Funeral because I'm very close to Willie Watkins. I said, "I want to know what's going on, because I'll have a service at Hillside for him." And so he found out that he had a mother he was from Augusta, and she came and got the body, and they had the funeral already. I would have gone to Augusta for that. And I'm still thinking that there were enough people who loved him that would come to, even if we had just something for him. But that's the same thing. He gave his as a homeless person. I asked one day, I said, my grandson said, "You got a job?" He said, "Guess what? I have a job at Turnerfield." I'm so excited. But he was just special. So, you know, a homeless man, clean, I don't know where he slept, but he was always clean, tipped his hat, "Good morning, how are you?" Came to the car, everybody loved him. And I heard his name was Freeway Johnny. I never even asked him his name. So each of us can play a very vital role in changing the environment we're in, if we just take that one step. See, I believe I can't change the people in the fighting between Palestine, and I can do my prayer work, but I have to have peace in me so I can have peace where I am. So when the peace begins in the people, until we learn that, we'll think it takes war and bombs and everything to do this kind of thing. But what you just shared is just a typical example of what we each can be in our own community or in another community, and don't go with fear, but go with an open heart. I'm just, just thinking that you were just walking freely. It's down. Listen, Atlanta's changing, so I went to the airport and we got turned around trying to get to the gate. But that walking is so true, and I pass a lot of places sometimes. I wish I could just get out. You pass them, you say, I'd like to go and see what that's all about. Atlanta is expanding so rapidly.
She spoke about peace.
You can't give what you don't have. When you become aware, consciously aware, that all of the good that you seek is right here, and you pull it forth by your attitude, by your thoughts, by your words, and by what you do in the outer. Whatever we are, whatever you are, is what you've created already for yourself. And you can only be what you are. I have a friend that says, you draw to yourself so you can see yourself. See, it's all about attitudes, it's about thought patterns, it's about choices that we make. It's about free will, knowing that you can do whatever you want to do for your personal life and for others. Peace is the absence of conflict, no question about that. And the thing is that we, without knowing it, voluntarily teach our kids violence. We allow them to use the games that are, I read the comic strip. The comic strip is violent sometimes. The violent issue comes through in the comic strip. So everywhere we turn now, someone has interjected into the media, into the comic strips, into every area of our life, there's some evidence of violence. And the people who are doing this apparently have no heart for knowing what they're giving to society. So those of us who know better have to keep expressing wherever we are and being wherever we are, what we know will bring about peace. If you're in the boardroom, how can you bring about peace in that room? Wherever you are, if you're a symbol of peace, you have that peace. Sometimes your presence will turn a whole meeting around. Just being there, being people. Because again, we live in an energy field. So your body gives off what you are. I had an experience once in the airport traveling someplace, and there was a group of people at one of the gates, and they were you could see they were very upset and frustrated. And a man went to me and said, "Reverend King?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "We've been waiting on the plane for 4 or 5 hours, and the plane has hit some turbulence. We need a prayer." I said, "Well, I just pray right here." The people gathered around me, and I prayed. When I finished the prayer, before I finished, they were announcing the plane was arriving. Now, why did that happen? I didn't pray with fear, I prayed with faith. The people gathered around because they believe, if people believe in your prayer, that means their faith is coming forward. They are believing that something will happen. And that's how we bring about change. We have to believe in what we're saying, what we're demonstrating. See, sometimes people say one thing and act another. But there has to be a complete identity from what you speak, what in your heart you believe, and what you demonstrate.
Dr. King also talked about forgiveness.
Forgiveness is an inner act. We think it's an outer thing. It's like peace. You've got to, inside, forgive because it's an emotional attachment. So therefore, when you're emotionally caught up in anger against or about what someone supposedly did to you, then that anger, now we have to realize we're talking about spirit, mind, and body here. That anger affects the cells, the nervous system, your immune system. That's the effect on the body. Now, emotional effect is whatever you carry in your mind, that's what you think about all the time. So you're still thinking about that anger. That's why it's an interact. When you choose to forgive, you release yourself from that person. Because as long as you're angry, whatever you're angry about, you keep it with you. Because you think about it. You talk about it. You want to take some action about it. So when you decide within yourself, as we say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's time for me to let this thing go. That's not easy. Because we haven't been taught to forgive. We've been taught to react. But I say act from what you believe to be the truth. Don't react to it, react from it.
She offered an affirmation.
I let go, I release, I let go. When you repeat this has no longer any power over me, because you're giving it power by your thoughts. So when you say that, you're saying that to convince your subconscious. Your mind already knows it. You're saying to convince your you have a higher self. You have your intellectual self. You have your subconscious self. So whatever you say consciously, it convinces the subconscious. That's where the feeling comes in. That's where you get to feeling it. So when you convince yourself, I cannot let this destroy me. I cannot let this take me out. I've got to know I can live without this. Then the subconscious, that feeling nature, picks it up and your whole body transforms. Once you take that inner act of I'm letting this thing go and repeat enough until you believe it. See, that's the other thing, is that the power of the spoken word, that when you repeat a statement enough, that's why you're going to believe it. You're going to feel it at that subconscious level. And when you do that, all of a sudden, the pain is gone. I've been through some crisis of forgiveness, even as a pastor of a church. When I started this ministry, there were so many male ministers against me, and they spoke about me from their pulpit. She has no business in the pulpit. She's a divorced woman. They went back to the Old Testament, pulled out all the laws about women, even down to your monthly experience. And I would go places, and they would, give me an idea of a funeral. In traditional black community, the mentors all come in together. I'd go to a funeral of someone that maybe a member of my church, a loved one, we say transition, we don't use the word died as much. And they would let me come in with the ministers. One time I had to come with the pallbearers. And I had a lot of forgiveness to do because I was angry with these guys. And when people speak about you publicly and say you're no good, you have no business leading the church. So I went through many times of emotional pain, sometimes doubting my own experience as a minister because of the pressure. And then they came into the church, they infiltrated the church to see what I was doing. And when we were building this church, it took us quite a while to get this building up, they would come and they would say, oh, Reverend King, this is going to be, may I tour your place? And they were trying to buy the church out from under us. So I had a lot of forgiveness to do. And with my height, I'm 6'5". Everybody in my family is 6 footers and over. I'm the same height my daddy was. So I had a lot of forgiveness to do. I had to go back to my childhood and forgive the kids who taunted me because I carried that pain. And then people would say, oh, you're so tall. Oh, how's the weather up there? And so for all of us, if you just sit down and you can have things that you don't even know at that unconscious level that you're still carrying. And until you bring it up, where you can look at it, and know it's all right, then you get rid of it. I'm happier now than, it took a journey. But see, that's what I like about the journey. No matter what you're going through, if you stay on your path, the release will come. And now at this wonderful age that I am now, celebrating 84 years on the planet, which again, there's no age in spirit. Age is just a number. People say, well, how you look so good? Because I feel good. I act like I look. My little girl, when I was a little girl, I worked. I had to work to take care of me and my grandmother. So the little girl didn't play like everybody. So now she's playing, and she's having a good time. Everybody has a little girl or a little boy. You got your little girl in you. And that little girl may hurt. She hurt for a long time. But when I found out I could love myself and not have to deal with what everybody else thought, but bring that back to me, what do you think about yourself? And it was through this experience, we call it the New Thought movement that we're in, that I learned that I was okay. And once I got that, I'm having the time of my life. Now, I have an aunt that lived to be 102. Everybody's lived to be 90. So I'm planning to stay in here a while. I got work to do. So that's what forgiveness is to me. It's an inner act of letting go emotionally the pain of whatever it is, whether you were raped, no matter what you went through. And as you say, and we always say, I let go and I let God, or I forgive and I let go. I release and I let go. When you keep saying that, you see the energy level that you're building in yourself. And all of a sudden, when you know anything, it's over.
Welcome back to a conversation with Bishop Dr. Barbara King. During our conversation, she explained how she came to be part of what's known as the New Thought movement.
When you take acts of compassion, loving unconditionally, taking care of your body temple, which I've done. I grew up in a house where we ate a lot of vegetables. My grandmother was a vegetable queen. We had meat twice. We got to be fussing. How come we can't have a pork chop? How come we can't, So I grew up eating healthy. I'm from Texas originally, and people in Texas eat a lot of watermelon and a lot of greens. We're some greens people. So I ate well. And then spiritually, I was brought up in the church. And I was in a church where I didn't hear a lot about hell, going to hell. I heard more about being somebody and using your truths. And so when I came to what's called the New Thought Movement, which is really thinking at a higher level, coming to a level where you begin to dissect and go for a spiritual meaning, look for the hidden meaning of things, rather just taking everything literally. See, we teach the Aramaic language here of the Bible because Jesus spoke in Aramaic, and the Bible's been translated so many times, it's lost its whole meaning sometimes. And we really have an Eastern Bible and a Western community. So we've changed a lot of words. But with the Aramaic, you get the direct language of Jesus. And so that's kind of Bible. It's a big thing, but we use it here. And in the New Thought Movement, our thing is that we're not separated from the power. We're not separated from God, that we are made in that image, not to look like a man or woman, but the image is that spiritual image, that indwelling spirit that you know is there. And when you call it spirit, whatever you want to call it, there's something higher about you. You're not just human. You're more than a human being. And you're here to experience love, give love, help to transform lives. And I had an experience in my home this morning. I have a guest in my home, and the young lady who does my hair, she was talking about a young lady who's been sexually abused by her father since she was 2. And they said, well, why did God allow that to happen? I said, God didn't allow that to happen. Why would God allow something to happen to bring pain? The little girl didn't know the father started abusing her, but she didn't know what that was all about. So she had to go along with the program because her mind is innocent. She doesn't even know what we call right and wrong. But she is now at a point as an adult that she's wanting to move away from that. See, when you're on your journey, everything comes to teach you a lesson. You're not hearing a necessarily someone heaven and hell. What you're hearing is you make your own hell, you make your own heaven. And it starts right here. So that's the whole New Thought idea, that we are not outside of God, but what we call God is us. It's that spirit in us.
And is there a concept of Jesus within that?
Well, the unity people had the concept of Jesus more than anybody else, but it's that Jesus was the perfect example. See, traditional churches worship and they deal with the cross, but they don't go beyond the cross. They forgot it was a resurrection. So metaphysically, the word metaphysically, New Thought, to us, Jesus gave us the example of what it means to go through a crucifying experience. But he also gives an example of what it means to come through that experience. So whatever you're going through that's bugging you, hurting you, realize you can get through it by your faith, your prayer, your meditation, because you are going to come through. That's the resurrection. So we're not teaching, we know what he did. But he was a man like the men. He came into his own awareness of who he was through prayer and meditation. And so we don't see him as he's a savior, but he taught us to do what? Save yourself. If you never had a minister, you ought to be able to know enough truth to know. And so that's what people are in the traditional church. If the minister don't show up and you don't get to the pastor, you don't know what to do. We're teaching you that you can know what to do. You can bring yourself to a level. Take the teaching, but you use it. See, it's a practical use of anybody's teaching. If you're Jewish and you don't use the teaching, you're not a good Jew. If you're Islamic and you don't use your teaching, that's what we see in our two sides of the Islam thing, the violent side and the PM. That people are beautiful. And I know a lot of Muslims and I love them. I have no problem with that. You see? And then you got us in New Thought. What happens is we seem like the new animals on the block. We've been very quiet. Okay? We have our little sinners all around. But people have condemned us because they say we're not teaching what Jesus taught, we're not teaching the love of the Lord. We don't know what we're talking about. We do what we're talking about. Because Jesus, listen, we teach spiritual healing. Okay? Now ask me any question you want to ask. Now, there was a man with a withered hand, according to the healing word. When the man came to him and said, I need healing, he said, stretch forth your hand. Now, according to the scripture, when he stretched forth his hand, the hand was no longer withered. We teach that when we have a withering experience, stretch forth our hands to stretch your mind to believe that you can be healed. See the difference in the teaching? So we take his teaching from the literal because people are like, well, how can I be healed? You know, I had tuberculosis in both lungs and was supposed to die. But I'm sitting here, and that's when I was 19. I had to drop out of college. But I had a healing, and Unity sent me a prayer called the Prayer of Faith, and I would say it for you. God is my help in every need. God does my every hunger feed. God walks beside me, guides my way through every moment of the day. I know I'm wise, I know I'm true, patient, kind, and loving too. All things I am can do and be through Christ, the truth that is in me. Now here's the part. I'm a schoolgirl. I've been to college. God is my health. I can't be sick. It must be crazy. I'm not even with TV. I'm going to say God is my health. I can't be sick. I never heard that concept before. God is my strength, unfailing quick. God is my all. I know no fear since God in love and truth here. They said, say it until you believe it. I did not believe it initially. I kept saying it. All of a sudden, it clicked. I don't know how it clicked. I didn't question it. 2 months after that, I got the word from the doctor. My lungs had cleared. They don't even know how it happened. They called me in. They said, we want to dismiss you. I'm in a sanitarium. You have to remember back in the day, they locked you up. We don't want to dismiss you. We don't know what it is. And if you leave, you're not going to live and don't ever think about having a child. I left that hospital when I was 22, 4 years. Look at me today. I have a son who's 47. I have 5 grandchildren. I have 3 great-grands. I've gone through, my journey has taken me in so many different directions. So, but you know what? I said, because I built my faith up to believe. Now, that didn't mean I didn't get medical care, but I also got another kind of care. So when you go to the hospital and see somebody, you don't talk about the disease. You talk about, let's look at who you are. And that's what New Thought does for you. It helps you to change your thinking. And when you change your thinking, see, you have a world. Before you go out here in Atlanta, before you leave home, you got your own world. And what you do in that world is what you bring to this outer world. So that's the new thought way of thinking, that when you change your thinking, you change your world. I've had Greeks in me, I've had Jews, I've had people from every kind of denomination, because it's open, it's an openness. It doesn't condemn, it's open to you whether you gay, straight, whatever your choice is, because we're not concerned about what you do physically, we're concerned about what you do with your mind, because that's what's going to make the difference. Your heart, your soul, that's what makes the difference. All of our church are open to people. We have gay ministers when other people wouldn't have that. You see, we're concerned about the children, the gay children that are being ostracized and committing suicide. If we can get to them, we try to help them to see. Take away the label and love yourself. And most people in that position haven't learned love themselves because they've been so condemned and parents have put them out, that kind of thing. So we're open to, and so we're interdenominational, we're interdenominational, we're all of it. Anybody can walk in our church. We have no dress code. I just tell them this, don't streak, please. We have no dress code. Whoso will, let him come. If you came in and you were dirty, nobody's going to get up and run from you. Just take a seat. Somebody come to you and say, how you doing? What can I do for you? That's the joy of the new thought. That's new thinking. Remember, I said new thought. That tells you right there. Now, Unity was more Jesus-prone, but religious science was not. They used the Bible, but not as much. They tie themselves into, like I do, I'm very much into science. I want to know where science and religion come together. So I bring a lot of, my messages are built on things I read about the brain, so I can show them, even though we follow Jesus' teachings, but his teachings for the day, when you look at it from the perspective of spirit and not from the perspective, well, this is what he did, so I can't do that. He said in one statement, greater things than these shall you do. Most people don't touch that. Why all the healings he did then are evident now in the medical field? They learn about the brain, that the mind is not the brain, They know now that you can go to a chiropractor. You can release the energy in your spine. All that's what he was doing, but it was for that era. But we have moved. People with new lungs, transplant of the heart. I mean, come on now. Same thing was going in, but at a different level for that culture. But when you look at it, as we've moved through the universe, we're doing greater things all the time. You get new teeth put in, you get an eye transplant. I remember got an eye transplant. I mean, so when you look at his teaching, if you look at him, it's not about him. See, the truth is he's on the cross. I won't even wear a cross. I don't want no cross. The cross represents trouble. I don't want no trouble. Now, people can wear they want to wear them, but that's the identity with Christianity. I won't wear one. And I'm not a Christian. I'm just a child of God on my journey having a good time. So I don't have to have a label. The New Thought label is because of our traditional belief system, that we are threefold beings, spirit, mind, and body, that we are not separate from God, that God is in us. It's a spirit. It's an energy. And that wherever we are, that energy is. We're sitting here now. Nobody can come here and bother us because we're in the energy of goodness, of right thinking. Nobody gonna bust through that door. They can't. People are looking for small circles to meet in. People are meeting in homes. People are developing in their God's prayer, in their garden's prayer place. People are putting little altars in their home. There's a lot going on that we don't know about. I just happen to read about it, somebody tells me about it. So all of us haven't dropped. The key people who need to carry out the program of the leaders and the traditional ministers just don't do it.
Because the institutional religions are losing.
That's right.
So much.
But that's why, because they're not meeting the needs. You got to come to where the people are. You got to know what their needs are. I ask people all the time, what's going on with you? And then I call people. I sit in that chair every Sunday right where you are and greet people. Most of them don't do that. They get to preach, they're out of there. I sit and meet people, the children come hug my legs. I mean, it's all about who you are and what you want to do. Do you really want people to change because you're showing them a way they can change? If we believe there is a God, then that God is a God of intelligence. It's feeding to us through our intelligence. So therefore, if we made in the image and likeness, we're supposed to be like it, am I right? And we say we're like it in spirit, not in terms of the physical body, because then that's why everybody claims God is in the sky, sitting on the throne. We don't believe that. We believe God is spirit and is everywhere evenly present. There's no spot where God is not.